I would have never imagined that my entire life and mentality would change in 2020, all because of this anime. Hello, my name is Bugsy, and this is the anime that changed my life. Back in 2020, right when the pandemic had been going on just about 4 to 6 months, I had a lot of time on my hands between online college classes, running my business, and also sitting around watching YouTube, Twitch content. It was time to find another hobby. I had heard of anime and knew of certain characters, Naruto, Goku, Pikachu, etc., but never spent the time to sit down and watch anime. However, never actually dedicated time to watching since many of my friends in high school and college did not watch anime, or at least I didn't think they watched anime until I started making anime content and talking about anime on my social media platforms. The anime that I am talking about is no other than Dragon Ball Z. Yes, I know there are going to be many people who may clown me over my choice of anime, but hear me out. If you have seen all of Dragon Ball Z, you may have a favorite character who has impacted you. Whether that is Gohan, Vegeta, Goku, hell, maybe even Piccolo. But let's go back in time to explain why Dragon Ball Z became the reason my life changed. During middle school and high school, I consider myself to be very introverted and reserved about my talents. Even in today, hindsight 2023, I still find myself to be very introverted, but also very reserved. I don't talk to many people at my job. From the people who I've met in an online environment, I am willing to speak to them if I know that we share common interests. If it is somebody completely random, I typically keep to myself and kind of give off a mysterious vibe, which I think is very egotistical for me to say, but I typically don't like to overshare with people I'm not very comfortable with. I played sports and was musically inclined, so I had many things to be proud of, yet I felt nobody else cared. Once high school came around, I started to change more as a person since I was around people that looked like me. Middle school, I went to a majority of Christian schools and my classmates were white, with very few black people, African Americans in my class. Once I got to high school, however, it was an all black high school. About 98% black, the other 2% was white people and also Asians and very, very small Hispanic population. This did build my confidence in who I was naturally, and I didn't feel like I had to be set in standards that did not fit me. And for those who have been in an environment who, whether it's because your parents are financially set, whether it's because the students and your peers around you are white, you do feel a certain standard is being placed upon you. Whether it is how you dress, what your parents do, or even how you speak. Those are all standards that I felt impacted me all the way up until I got to high school. And in high school, I will admit it, I could not dress to save my life. I couldn't dress. I had a pretty bad haircut. And from what I was told is you sound like a white boy. It was just one of those things that happen once you are around, white people for a long time. You do end up having a dialect very similar to theirs. Now, the moment in high school that changed me first was my first heartbreak. Like most men and women, they have all gone through a bad breakup, cheated on, cheated, etc. Well, for me, I tried to turn a hoe into a housewife, and it did not work. I failed drastically. I got accepted to a pretty well-known PWI, which stands for a predominantly white institution. If you notice, you know exactly what school I went to. In my freshman year of college, I didn't give a flying about anyone or how anyone else felt about me. And as long as I believed that I was him, that is what mattered the most. So that led to many people seeing my ego which made people like me and also not like me. Regardless, it did not matter as long as I was happy. If you have seen Dragon Ball Z, you may see which character I may be relating to the most. Later on, ended up being in a relationship, which changed me from being egotistical to more laid back and humble. Bringing this all back to the prompt being the anime that changed my life. Dragon Ball Z, and specifically Vegeta, is the reason why I am the way I am today. Starting Dragon Ball Z my first semester senior year of college, I was absolutely hooked on the first 30 episodes. Yes, I did watch Kai because I was recommended to me. Shout out to my dog Chimja, aka Brand. Yo, Elon Musk, please unsuspend my boy. Please give him back Chimja. We need him back to save the world. Once Vegeta was introduced into the story, I knew I liked him immediately. His pride towards his race, abilities, and self-image was admirable, especially for somebody who did lack those aspects, whether it was my personal ability academically, musically, or even athletically, and then of course my self-image. Being in high school, I was told numerous times that I was a fat. Yes, I was told I was a fat, and the irony of it all was I was 5'8" and 150 pounds, which by standard is pretty normal weight, and I didn't have any fat besides my love handles, of course, but nothing ever to the point to where I was legitimately fat. And being told I was fat and being told I was ugly really did damage my self-image. And I know that actually happens with plenty of people. Many people go through high school and they're told that they are ugly, they're told that they're fat, they're told that they're stupid. They're given a lot of derogatory terms, which inevitably does destroy your self-image of yourself. And it's really unfortunate, but it did turn me into a monster, give or take. Regardless of how anyone felt about him, he believed he was right, even with all the odds against him. Especially during the Saiyan saga when Nappa and Vegeta came to Earth, and we saw how Vegeta just had this aura about him which made people know that he is him and he's not here to play. Even though he was playing with some of the Z fighters waiting for Kakarot, he let the world know that he was the biggest and he was the baddest motherfucker in the galaxy. However, I was not expecting him to be a man of such complexity and depth until we got to the Namek saga. Because in the Saiyan saga, we simply saw him wanting to fight Goku. And his objective was to bring Goku to work underneath Vegeta. And it wasn't for him to join the Frieza army. It was for him to find the Dragon Balls, grant himself immortality, and then fight Frieza. And I would assume restart the Saiyan race, which I'm not sure how that would work since they would have to repopulate with Earthlings because there were no other Saiyan women left. So very interesting to say the least. Seeing Vegeta slowly start to abandon the evil man he once was made me happy, but also sad because I could relate to that. Seeing how my old self slowly started to dissipate due to the new life I started to live almost made me hate myself. And yes, I know I'm sounding like an anime main character, but for those who can understand what I'm talking about and not going to be immature, they know exactly what I speak of when you end up growing up from a teenager to an adult. And it was scary. It was scary because the man who I was, the man who I felt I created from scratch due to the pain that I suffered, is slowly disappearing because I'm in a relationship, because I can't be that callous man I felt I was. I couldn't have an ego. I couldn't just go around doing things that only pleased me. And before I was in a relationship, I had more hoes than I had clothes. I was really him. Brad Pitt couldn't see shit on me. I was really like that. But now I can't be like that because I have to be a faithful, loyal black man. That's just the rules. I don't make the rules, I simply enforce them. Very similar to how Vegeta felt when he had to team up with Goku, Gohan, and Krillin while they were on Namek. When Vegeta lost his fight to Frieza and Goku finally came to help him, oh my god, it was over in my heart. I would never forget the first time I sat there and watched Vegeta thinking he was the Super Saiyan. And Frieza let him believe that until he told him, "You did not get any stronger, you're still weak as ever." And seeing the fear on Vegeta's face was haunting. It was scary because Vegeta thought he really had become the legendary Super Saiyan of legend. After Vegeta gets beamed through the heart and gives his dying speech to Goku, there was nothing that I could do but feel pain. Him being vulnerable and explaining why he hated Frieza, what happened to Planet Vegeta, and why his pride meant everything to him. I could not feel as if this was myself, but in an anime. And no lie, I truly cried as well. This was the first time I had ever cried because of a piece of media. No Star Wars movie, no Transformers movie, no other movie or TV show, whatever, made me cry until I watched that scene for the first time in my in my apartment on campus, just on a random Thursday night. I was crying. I felt the tears come down my face. And I just knew that Vegeta was me. Or I guess I was Vegeta since this was created way before I was born. And it was incredible. I knew that Vegeta was me. And I became captivated with the story even further. All the way through Namek, the Android saga, and of course the infamous Cell saga. Vegeta's character began to grow on me more and more. Seeing him compete with Goku, achieving the Super Saiyan transformation was pivotal in his life. His Super Saiyan speech was something that I understood and related to in some sense. The anger, the fear, the hatred towards himself because he felt he did not get what he deserved. I felt that and I understood that level of anger and almost underwhelming worth. I truly understood. I understood it far more than I ever thought I would. Why, you may ask? It is because that is how I felt regarding my position in life and how I truly believed I was better than many people who I was around. And during this time, I did have a clothing brand, which I still have, BudTheCollector.com, by the way. If you want to buy some hoodies and sweatpants and, windbreakers and cargo pants, if you want to come shop with me, come shop. And some sunglasses too. Numbers. I truly believe that I was one of the best fashion designers during that time. And it went from complex designs to simplistic designs. And I prided myself on the quality of the apparel. I did it based on my own personal aesthetic and doing it because I knew that how I felt other people would also relate to. And due to that, I felt that I had a brand that meant a lot more than just selling some hoodies or just selling some t-shirts. And the idea behind selling it was because it looked cool. Yes, my pride and ego were through the roof. But it became like that after I realized nobody cared about me the way I thought they did. Yes, I do have my loving girlfriend. Yes, I did have that. But I always felt like it was never enough. I felt like, yes, her love meant everything to me. But nobody else gave a shit when I was going through pain, when I was suffering, when the world felt like it was against me and did not want me to win. I felt that no one mattered unless I was winning. No one cared about the losses, the lessons. But whenever something good happened, everybody came out the shadows to congratulate me. Everybody came out to express how proud they were of me. But they never talked to me. They never messaged me on Discord, Twitter, Instagram, or even text me on my personal phone. Unless, of course, it was during a time when I succeeded or when they wanted something out of me. Wow. This anime character has changed the trajectory of my life. Now, the arc that changed everything was the Boo Saga. Alright, I know many people have clicked off the video once I brought up the Boo Saga, which is either the worst or the second worst arc in all of Dragon Ball Z. However, for me, it is my top one, all because of Majin Vegeta. For those who don't know, I do have a Majin Vegeta tattoo on my forearm. And this was the first anime tattoo I got, besides my Trunks tattoo on the inside of my arm, and I'll be getting a Broly tattoo relatively soon. Majin Vegeta is that character for me. Majin Vegeta, I feel, was the embodiment of who I was during that time period of my life. Majin Vegeta is still my favorite version because this is when he went through what we would consider a midlife crisis. He allowing Babidi to grant him more power in return for him to serve him and destroy the Supreme Kai. Vegeta wanting to run the fade with Goku, and this is the real fade because Goku had been gone for 7 years, was something he was dying to do, which is him confronting the person who changed him the most, which he thought he hated, which at that time I thought I hated the man I had become. I did not like the fact that I became a much more soft man. I don't like even saying the word soft, but I didn't feel like I had to have a chip on my shoulder 24/7. I didn't feel as if I had to walk around and think that my objective was to destroy anyone and everyone when it came down to academics, athletics, or life in general. I didn't view life as war anymore. And I felt as if it made me soft. I felt as if it made me almost weak. I felt that I could no longer achieve because I had given up that dog that was in my heart. The speeches that Vegeta gave during the tournament, fighting in the wasteland where it all began many years ago, simply changed me. This is peak dialogue and character development if I've ever seen it myself. The perfect warrior speech, the infamous "you may have control over my mind and my body, but there's one thing the saying always keeps, his pride." These speeches to this day are some of the most influential speeches I've ever heard. When it came down to impacting me personally, those speeches meant the world to me. It made me emotional. And when Vegeta finally realized the damage he had done once he aided in Majin Buu's release, he knocked out Goku and decided to go and destroy Buu once and for all. And once he realized, sorry if I'm choking up a little bit, once he realized he was severely outclassed, he knew there's only one thing he could do, which was to sacrifice himself to save the ones he loved. His speech towards Trunks and Goten, to the audience, to Piccolo even, he knew it was over. I didn't want it to happen. The foreshadowing, the music, and the tone that was set showed me that this was going to be the end of Vegeta. This was going to be the end of Majin Vegeta, as I assumed, until of course, you know, what happens in the Buu saga later. I didn't want to see my favorite character, who I believed was an incarnation of myself, end up destroying himself. In the words of Piccolo, he is fighting for someone other than himself. That is something that set off the light bulbs in my head. Everything I did was for self-gain, no longer mattered, when I should do many things for the people that love me and that I love. No matter how hard I didn't want to accept the fact that I was softer than I used to be. Everything wrapped up for me. And I mean, I think I cried during this moment too, if I remember correctly. I definitely cried when Vegeta's final words were, "Trunks, Bulma, I do this for you. And yes, even you, Kakarot." I couldn't believe it. It hurt my soul so much because it showed that Vegeta didn't hate Goku. He didn't hate the fact that he had Trunks and that he had a wife named Bulma. He didn't hate them, but he realized how much he didn't appreciate them when he should have. It showed how much Vegeta had grown, and it was a message to me to be okay with the man I have become today. And yes, there are other characters in Dragon Ball in Dragon Ball Z who also impacted me, but not as much as Vegeta did. Goku obviously wanted to strive more and more and to not be afraid of those who may be bigger and better than you. Trunks to always have hope and never give up and always look for the light at the end of the tunnel. Gohan to be kind to all and even be willing to fight when it is deemed necessary. Dragon Ball Z, created by Akira Toriyama, thank you for creating such a beautiful journey. A fantastic group of characters who have impacted me from the age of 20 till now. I hope you guys did enjoy the video, and if you did, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know in the comments down below what anime or character has impacted your life in a positive manner.
You are a fool! I am going to crush you and throw you into the wind! Trunks, Bulma, I do this for you. And yes, even for you, Kakarot.